Hi everyone, so today I'm going to be talking you through how to make this amazing rainbow cake. This is a really advanced cake, so if you're new to baking or don't have a lot of equipment and tools, you might want to start on something a bit simpler, but for the more advanced bakers out there, this is a really fun one to try. You're going to love it. So the first thing to do is preheat your oven to 170 degrees Celsius. And next you want to get your ingredients together. So these are all the ingredients you'll need, and that is 850 grams of self-raising flour, 850 grams of unsalted butter, 10 large eggs, 11 tablespoons of whole milk, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 850 grams of caster sugar. You're also probably going to need a mixer for this because it is going to be a lot of hard work on your little arms, so just be aware of that. First of all, you want to mix your butter and your sugar together and whisk those until they're light and fluffy. And while that's mixing, you can whisk up your eggs, and then you want to add this into your butter and sugar mixture. I like to add my egg in 3 separate parts because there is a lot of it, and I also add in a tablespoon of the flour as well because that stops it from curdling. So when that's done, you should be left with a really light and fluffy looking mixture like this, and then you can add in your flour. So add it all in and put it on a low setting to mix. Then once it's started to combine, you can add in your vanilla and then continue mixing it until it's looking like this. The next stage is to weigh out your mixture, and if you don't have a really big mixing bowl, then you might want to do the whole recipe from the beginning in 2 different stages. So just half all the ingredients and do one half first and the next half after that. So if you have done that, you want to weigh the whole of the first half of the mixture and then divide that by 3. So you've got 3 bowls full of your mixture ready to get colouring. And you need to make sure they all weigh exactly the same, so make sure that you weigh them out on the scales as well. So if you have halved your mixture, this is the point where you would want to do the other half before continuing with this step. But once you've got 6 bowls of equal mixture, you can start colouring. So I can't stress enough how important it is to get some gel colours or some really good quality food colouring, because you're really going to need it if you want your cake to be really vibrant. So next you want to take some little pots or bowls will do fine and just pour in your milk equally into each of the 6 bowls. Then take a small amount of each of your colours, and you only do need a small amount for these because they're so bright, and just mix that in with the milk. You're going to need blue, green, yellow, red, orange and purple for this. So the next stage is to colour your cakes. So you want to take the first batch of mixture you have, one of your 6 mixtures, and just pop in your chosen food colouring for that one and mix that together, but you want to fold it, not mix it, because otherwise you will lose the air and you don't want that. And then just continue to do the same thing with each colour, and you should be left with 6 really vibrant coloured mixtures, and that's exactly what you want. So after that, they are ready to bake, and I like to grease down my pans with butter and then put on a circular grease-proof piece of paper, and then I finish off with some flour, and that way I know that it won't stick to the sides. This is my foolproof way of greasing tins. Then you want to spoon in your first mixture, and if you have multiple baking tins, I would definitely use them because this can be really time consuming. So if you'd want to bake 2 at a time, then definitely do that. But these cakes bake for about 15 minutes each, but also make sure to check them at about 12 minutes just in case, and make sure that a skewer comes out clean when you stick it in the middle. And then you just want to continue to do that with every single one of your mixtures. So if you've got 6 pans, great, that will take less time, but if you've only got 1, then this will take a while. So while your cakes are baking, it's time to make the icing. I've gone for cream cheese icing because it's my absolute favourite. So for that, you're going to need 1000 grams of icing sugar, 400 grams of cream cheese, 1.5 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 7 tablespoons of unsalted butter. So to make the icing is really easy. You just put in the butter and cream cheese with the vanilla into a mixing bowl and mix that together until it's really creamy looking. And then you can add in your icing sugar, and you want to do this in probably 2 or 3 separate parts just so you don't make a mess of the kitchen, and make sure that there's no lumps or bumps in your icing, and then make sure that it also makes stiff peaks when pulled up. To make my cake as symmetrical as possible, I used one of these, and this is a cake leveler. So I've got it on the 3rd notch, and what I do is just cut it into my cake, making sure it's on a level surface, and that makes every single layer exactly the same size so that you don't have to worry about them being uneven. Then you want to take a circular object that's a little bit smaller than your cake, just because you want to cut off all those excess parts around the edge because they're not a very nice colour and you want to get rid of that. You don't want your cake to look brown on the inside. If you want to be really picky, you can also trim off any brown bits that are left, and then you just want to do exactly the same thing to all of your cakes so that they're all completely even and look as vibrant as possible. You don't want any horrible brown stuff on your cake, you just want the vibrant sponges. Now it's time to stack your cake, so all you want to do is take a cake board or something to put your cake on and put a little bit of the icing on the bottom to secure it all in place, and then starting with the purple layer, place that onto the middle of the cake board and then cover the whole of the top in icing, making sure it's really level. Then you can put your blue sponge on, making sure it's directly on top of the purple, and also cover that in the icing. And then you want to do exactly the same all the way up your cake. So next is green, and then it's yellow, followed by orange, and finishing with the red layer. So once your cake is looking really even and nicely stacked, you can start to crumb coat it, and a crumb coat just means that you want to do a thin layer of icing first before you do the proper icing to lock in all the crumbs to make sure none of that gets onto the actual final cake. And then you want to let your crumb coat set in the fridge for about 1 to 2 hours. Once it's out, you can start with your final layer of icing, and you want to give a really generous amount on the sides and make sure that it's all really even and really well distributed. So you want to use a palette knife just to make sure that all the sides are really straight and even. If you have any sponge showing through, like any of the colours, you can just put a little bit of extra icing on that part and smooth it over like so. If you don't have a palette knife, don't worry, you can actually also use a piece of paper to do this with. You just want to make sure that your sides are really straight. So once your whole cake is done and you're happy with the icing, you can start to do your decoration, which is my favourite part. So I'm going to use some funfetti sprinkles, a star-tipped nozzle and a piping bag. I'm just going to snip the end off the piping bag and push through my star nozzle. Then to make your life a little bit easier, you want to put your piping bag inside a large glass and pull it down over the sides. Then take a spatula and just start filling up your icing, and this just helps it not get onto your hands, and you can just pull it out really easily and start with your icing. Because this cake is such a blank canvas, you can decorate it however you want to. I decided to keep it really simple just because the inside was so crazy and vibrant, so I wanted to keep the outside looking kind of simple. So I'm just doing this really easy flower/star piping technique where you just squeeze the bag and pull up straight, and it gives this really lovely little iced gem kind of look. I just did that all the way around the edge like a border. To finish off the cake, I just put some of the funfetti sprinkles on top of each of the little star things that I've done on top of my cake, just to give a small hint of what to expect on the inside without giving too much away. So speaking of the inside, let's see what it looks like when I cut into it, and please ignore my really lopsided cutting technique. I know it looks awful, but I think the cake looks so cool. Everything's really even and the colours are really vibrant, and I'm so happy with the way that it turned out. But this cake would be amazing for a birthday party or something like that, and everyone always loves it whenever they see it, and it also tastes amazing. So that's it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments and I'll try and answer as many as I can, and do subscribe for more videos if you want to, and you can also follow me on my social media accounts. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.